Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to a very special edition of Spinistry Chat. We're really excited about this one. Basically, we've come back from pretty cool adventure that's just a piece of a grand adventure we've got planned out for Club Spinistry members going forward. We scouted what we call Segment 1, about a 110-mile segment, first segment of our Taysha Heritage Trail, Red River to Rio Grande River, cross Texas, north to south route, about 1,000 miles overall. While that route has been verified and we know what we have to work with and we're excited with it, what we're wanting to do is send bikes out on a segment at a time to make sure everything's good and verify some amenities and things like that, and play with some ideas that make point-to-point cross-country adventures more accessible for everyone. We'll definitely be talking about that. Let's do a quick overview of how the weekend itself broke down. So the Taysha, we're going to just call it a 1,000-mile trail right now. Almost all gravel roads from the Red River in Oklahoma to Big Bend National Park. Fantastic route overall. The segment we scouted this past weekend is what we're calling Segment 1, from the Red River to Jacksboro, Texas. It takes on parts of the Chisholm Trail, parts of the Butterfield Overland Trail, lots of historical stuff along the way, and those details will be included. There's camping, lots of other pieces like that. We also unveiled, or tried out, I think is a better term, a new way for people that are going point to point to facilitate that, and people that maybe they're not up to 110, 120, 150 mile days, but they have somebody they know that is. So we'll talk about that. This weekend we did that Segment 1, but we ran it backwards from the intended route. Like I said, the intended overall Taysha, we're wanting to go north to south. That way it makes most sense for Big Bend to be the destination. If you start in Big Bend and head north, it's going to be kind of an anticlimactic route. But don't want that to mean that it's dull in between. This was a fantastic route. Everyone that rode it just raved about it. I would say it's probably well over 70%, probably over 80% dirt roads currently. Don't expect that to change in this segment anytime soon. When you look at the Ride with GPS data, as a heads up, the Ride with GPS data is less than accurate. Usually for Texas gravel routes, it'll say something stupid like 5% unpaved, 95% paved, or ratios like that. Just ignore that Ride with GPS data. I don't know exactly why it doesn't work. It doesn't work. But the Ride with GPS mapping works tremendously. What I want to talk about first is the support format that we've kind of put together to help with this route, but other point-to-point stuff we're going to be doing along the way. We're pretty excited about this concept. The idea was for basically teams to work together on a relay basis. So one rider would start out, the other would go to a little further point and wait for them, 20 miles down the road, 50 miles down the road, whatever each rider was comfortable with. And then they would do sort of a tag team relay. And that way, the biggest question about point to point is, how do I get back to the start, or how do I get back home? Well, if you're working with a teammate like that, the vehicle travels along with you, and then when y'all get to the end, hey, there's your ride back home, basically, or ride back to the staging area, however it works. Obviously, you can incorporate multiple people or just a support driver to support a rider or multiple riders and things like that. That was the general idea. We had a team that did it that way, basically a support team, and they would tag team every 20 or 25 miles or so. But the way they did it, the driver tailed the rider. That's definitely an approach you can take. Also, you can obviously just drive ahead and wait for it. But, and I'm going to give Rich Waldschmidt credit for this one, he came up with a fantastic variation that I think is astounding. I don't know why we've never thought about it before. It's one of those things, it just makes so much sense. We are calling it the leapfrog approach. So basically what Rich and Lynn did, Rich started out riding, Lynn drove to their handoff point agreed upon ahead of time. And then Lynn parked his vehicle and took off himself. He didn't wait for Rich to get there. So it wasn't a tag team relay. It was a, well, I've driven to this point and now I'm going to hop on my bike and I'm going to go. And then Rich got to that point, loaded up his bike and drove ahead to the next relay station, parked the truck, and then he hopped on the road and not waiting for a tag team handoff. And that worked exceptionally well. Basically, each rider had a 50-ish mile day, and the timing wasn't a whole lot different from a 50-mile day. That was a really neat format, and we think there's lots of potential for that. We're definitely going to be playing with that model going forward. But let's go ahead and talk about this particular route. It is now available to Club Spinistry members, and we call it Taysha 1 Oklahoma to Jacksboro. Taysha 1 Oklahoma to Jacksboro. Well, that's available now in the Club Spinistry members routes library on Ride with GPS. Also, we will have a link to the overall Taysha description page in the notes, in the description. Basically, you can sign up for that, and as we verify these segments with bikes on the dirt as opposed to scouting in just the truck or the Jeep or whatever else. Like I said, this whole route is 100% scouted and verified. The route, we could put it out today. What we want to do is we want to have groups of riders ride the individual segments and, again, verify amenities, see where there might be too big a gap or something like that. And, you know, maybe we will come across minor tweaks along the way as well. And that's something I have time for as the riders are out and about doing their thing and I'm doing my support and leapfrogging myself, going ahead. I can explore some side roads and say, well, we didn't get to check this road out when we verified the initial route. Let's see what it's like if we go this way. So usually there's some minor tweaks in the mix that make for an overall better experience, or just things we want to check out in general. Like there were some things we wanted to explore on this one that we'll incorporate into other rides. After it was scouted, the riders verified as is. This one's really, really good, really, really solid. First off, the route itself for segment 1 starts in Oklahoma, just on the other side of the Red River. There's a fantastic bridge that crosses the Red River, a little bit north of Munster and St. Joe, very close to our friends at 4R Ranch Vineyards and Winery. Personally, I think that makes a fantastic overnight staging spot ahead of time. You can camp there, or you can rally and meet there first thing in the morning, particularly if you're doing the relay approach or the supported approach. Then the shuttle driver can drive to the Red River, drop the rider or riders off there, and the shuttle driver can do their own thing. Another variation, if you're doing it yourself and you're doing it point to point, you know, you want to make sure you do the whole thing, possibly show up planning to camp at 4R the night before your big push. Go ahead and go out to the river. It's about 10 miles away and come back, so a 20 mile. That way you get the full mileage if you're doing it self-supported, doing a bike packing trip or something like that, overnight at 4R, and then take off early the next morning from 4R and go south on the route. And basically that way you have a 100-mile first day if you're going all the way to Jacksboro. So first amenity, highly recommended, 4R Ranch Vineyards and Winery. It does go up Windmill Hill, the route does, proceeds into St. Joe, and St. Joe has a Dairy Queen, couple of convenience stores, and a really cool town square. St. Joe is approximately 27 miles into the route. From there, it winds around. The next amenity stop is the town of Forestburg. There is a Dollar General there. There is also a very local store. Actually pretty good hours. Almost every time I've been there, that store has been open. I haven't been there at 2 o'clock in the morning or anything like that. Forestburg will not have 24-hour amenities, I guarantee you that. But there is a Dollar General and a convenience store in Forestburg as well. And you hit that around mile 46. And from Forestburg, you go to Sunset at about mile 66. Another very tiny town, but there is a Valero gas station convenience store right on Highway 287. From Sunset, the next stop is actually going to be Jacksboro. There are a couple of towns that are barely towns. I think there may be a church and a volunteer fire department in each town, sort of thing, and that's about it. So really no convenience stores or any other amenities from Sunset at mile 66 to Jacksboro, roughly, depending on how you go into town, roughly mile 110. Jacksboro has everything. There's hotels, motels, camping, Fort Richardson State Park camping, but there's also a city park with camping there as well. Good restaurants. Herd's Burgers. If you ever want a good burger, go to Herd's. Cash only, keep that in mind, so always carry some cash with you. And I don't believe Herd's is open on Sundays. So the biggest thing to be aware of from an amenity standpoint is from Sunset to Jacksboro, 40-ish miles without other support. Not a huge gap there. Obviously, if you're doing the supported approach with the vehicle, that's the beauty of that approach as well. You don't have to worry about the amenities spacing per se. Just carry everything you need in the vehicle. I'm going to keep beating on this. We're really, really excited about the potential for this. We've been wanting to do more point-to-point stuff for years, and there just hasn't been a way that made sense to approach it. We can't shuttle everyone back and forth ourselves. We can't rent a bus, charter a bus, or anything like that. So that's the quickie overview. Again, the route is available now for that first segment, 110 miles, Red River to Jacksboro. If you want to go out and do that on your own, you're welcome to. We'll be doing a segment 2 scout somewhere in the mix. When we do these group segment scouts, they're always available to Club Spinistry members. The next one will be Jacksboro to Eastland. The way we do the scouting, though, we actually go south to north, with the idea being we can verify the route going south to north, and that way the people that are in the verification groups, if they still want to do the full 1,000-miler at some point, the reality is when you go the opposite direction, even on the same route, it's still a completely different experience. So we're going to scout the segments south to north, 100-ish miles at a time. When weather permits, when schedule permits, try to knock out each of these 9 more segments. Maybe we double up a weekend or something like that. Try to get all of those verified by this spring so we can have the full route ready to be released spring of 2023. Like I said, technically it's ready to be released now. I want to make it officially released after we've had bikes on every inch of the route as final, as we nail down amenities. So what I'll be doing, we do have, let me double check my notes, make sure I didn't miss anything. So like I said, we do have the Taysha Heritage Trail overview page. I'll have a link to that in the description. From there, you can get updates as we announce new group segments, and as these pieces come available, like this, the segment 1 route is now available from this page, and as more information becomes available, we'll have the link to this podcast, for example. We'll have a breakdown of the amenities list. So if you want to go out and do segments on your own as they become finalized, you're definitely welcome to do that. If you just want to stay up to date on the pieces as we add them, so when we do have everything continuous and ready to go, you know what's going on and you're dialed in, we can do it that way as well. So we're super excited about this overall. Again, the first segment got tremendous raves. If you've never ridden that part of Texas, that Red River Valley area, I think folks are going to be surprised at the hills and the climbing and things like that. No, it's not mountainous like Big Bend by any stretch of the imagination, but for North Texas, it's some beautiful scenery and some amazing terrain that's going to catch some folks by surprise. But the way it just winds all the way to Jacksboro and all of those roads that we incorporate, it's really neat. Tons of history. And segment 2 has some really cool stuff to it as well. So we will let everyone know when we put the group scouting trip segment 2 on the calendar. Hopefully it's something we figure out in the next week or two. And hey, do me a favor. If you don't think you're up to doing the super long days like this, or if you're put off by multi-day bike packing, don't have the gear or whatever else, see if you have somebody you can buddy up with and do that leapfrog approach or the relay approach, or if you have your significant other or partner or you know, a child or something like that that wants to go along for an adventure, definitely look at that supported option. And it gives a lot more flexibility. You can carry everything you need without having to invest in all the bike packing gear. It makes it easier to overnight in a hotel, go to a real restaurant, and if there's big gaps in the amenities, you just park the car somewhere along the way and you know you have everything you need waiting on you. You can carry the whole toolkit. We're really excited about the potential and the possibilities for this going forward. Thanks for tagging along with us. Spinistry out.